Hey, hi everybody, and welcome for this special stream session with Daniel. Hello, Sir Daniel.
Hello, Anthony.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Uh,
And you?
yeah, really good, really good. So, oh, you can say I'm on Twitter. Yes, but now we need to move to the PowerPoint presentation because this is a special day today. We want to share and very nice things that with you, and especially because we worked out on Quarkus and on the Quarkus Blueprint with JHipster. So we will spend maybe something like 1 hour together to speak about the Quarkus blueprint and what we've done, what we plan to 2021, and also to give some feedbacks and do demo. Are you ready, Daniel?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. So we can move to the speaker introduction. So I let you do your introduction, Daniel.
Okay. So I'm Daniel Petisme, a French guy, thanks to the accent. I work for Michelin, the tire manufacturing company, as a technical expert. So this is what I'm doing for a living. And late at night or during weekend, I try to contribute as much as possible to open source and mainly on two projects. The first one is JHipster, and the second one is Quarkus. So that's basically why I try to combine both projects.
Good. And you are a JHipster core team member.
Yeah.
So this is a good thing to say. So my turn. So, but probably people already know me because I know there is some followers here. So my name is Anthony, and I'm developer at Nintendo, and I'm also a JHipster contributor, and yeah, I used to stream a bit on Twitter, so you can see me on Twitch. I mean, or you can see me here, and also on Twitter. So let's add to the chat. Hey, I heard. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the 2 new followers. And at Nintendo, we are thinking that this is a good things to push on Quarkus Blueprint because this is something that we want to add and improve in the Nintendo platform. This is also the reason why we are working on this, and I'm really proud to be here tonight, especially because of Daniel, because Daniel did a lot great work on the Quarkus blueprint. So let's say hi to Joe. Hi, Joe. And I think Joe also contributed to the blueprint too. So
Yes.
we, we must say that. So, and thanks for the bit. And maybe we can directly move to the idea behind the Quarkus blueprint and why we had did it. So maybe some people here don't exactly know why is JHipster and what is the purpose behind. So let me just introduce that. JHipster is an application generator, so generator that will generate application for you. You just need to select the options you want through our CLI or the website startjhipster.tech. So you just need to tell us what you really want in the application, and then we generate for you a production ready application with a good developer experience. And this is actually what JHipster do. And JHipster has many options about technologies. For example, Angular, React, or Vue for the front end, but mainly Spring Boot backend application for the backend. And this is exactly why we think that we should we should focus and improve it by adding Quarkus. So maybe Daniel, we can just explain us a bit what is Quarkus.
Quarkus? Yep, sure. So Quarkus is a framework that has been launched in spring 2019. Yep, March or April 2019. And the main objective of Quarkus was basically to make Java attractive for the serverless, container, or cloud world, where basically Java was losing territory because of its resource consumptions or due to the startup time and so on. So the aim of Quarkus was really to reboot the way we are building Java applications and try to have a huge focus on resource consumption. So either to improve the startup time or to improve the global memory consumption. So this is the initial paradigm of Quarkus. So if you go to the website, you see some figures like dividing by 10, I guess, the startup time or the memory, I don't remember. Yep, if you can
Yes,
go on
maybe
it.
just go to quarkus.io at the same
IO.
time. I think there is some element here.
Yeah, and they're quite impressive actually. So yes, the aim of Quarkus was to try to reduce the overall Java footprint by having a new approach of building application and try to delegate as much as possible some computation or processing during build time and not during execution time, what basically most of the Java ecosystem do. So this is the initial paradigm. The other point is that Quarkus is a lot also the native compilation. So try to produce from a Java source code a native executable. And basically they're packaging, so GraalVM, which is the technology beyond native compilation, to try to, make Java competitive against Node.js or C# or Rust or what fancy technology that people are using on the cloud.
And can we say that Quarkus is mainly or exists because of the cloud and the new purposes and the new prerequisites we need to deploy application in the cloud? And especially I'm thinking of solutions like containers, Kubernetes, and something like that.
Totally. The statute that so Quarkus is sponsored by Red Hat, so it has been started with Red Hat, but it's an open source project. And the main status of Red Hat was so Red Hat is a Java lover company, but they saw that people were moving from apart from Java. Even for Java developers, they are moving from Java to more low-level technologies like Node.js or C# or again, because of this huge constraint of the Java ecosystem, which is relying massively on the dynamic part of the JVM. So try to figure that. That is why they start Quarkus. And if you go to the cloud world, basically, cloud world is full of containers, of serverless, or of plenty of little tiny things that needs to spin up really fast and try to optimize also consumptions, because behind memory consumption or startup time, it's actually dollars or euros, depending on the currency, but it's basically something that your cloud provider bills you. So when you see AWS or Azure able to bill to the nanosecond or microsecond a startup time or a memory consumption, you need to optimize your application to be cost efficient. And this is where basically technologies like Quarkus are very promising for the Java ecosystem.
Yeah, so we can say that the less we use, we consume, the more the better is, because it means that we expend less money.
Yes.
And so the idea behind this, because we talk about we're talking about the Quarkus ID, the Quarkus paradigm, and the JHipster. So the meeting between these two tools, the result is the JHipster blueprint. So
yes, the JHipster blueprint. So first off, thanks for I don't remember the name of the person who drew the logo, but it's just amazing.
It's Acedin.
Yes, the logo is just amazing. Yes, the aim was to try to bring together both technologies. When I start to use Quarkus, so back in I started with the very first release of Quarkus. I found the technology very interesting, but I was wondering if it was suitable for a more corporate environment and more general application that such as we CRUD applications or back office applications that we can find companies. So the aim was truly to say, okay, can I develop this kind of application? And for me, the best enabler or one of the main platform for this kind of application is JHipster. JHipster allows us to generate quick and fast and quite good applications for CRUD applications or generally speaking, Kickstart applications. So the aim was truly to say, okay, can I do the same thing with Quarkus? Can I develop the same kind of application with Quarkus? So I start to develop a first application, and since I'm an engineer, just as always with engineer, I start to try about automating the application I was writing. So this is where JHipster comes in, and basically I try to everything that I was writing, try to move it to JHipster. And basically, it was quite a success, and I tried to add more and more layers. And at the end, I was able to build a prototype of backend Quarkus application with a classic Angular or React front generated by JHipster. So this is where the blueprint starts. And from there, I try to complete it as much as possible to provide the best experience possible for people that want to try Quarkus, but also try to go fast in this learning curve and try to be able to compare apple to apple Java Spring backends with Java Quarkus backends. So this is why I start Quarkus in the first place.
Yes, so we can say that the idea behind the Quarkus Blueprint is not to create a new JHipster application or something that's really different from the idea behind JHipster, but just create a new implementation that should follow the JHipster best practices, etc. And maybe we will see that after and during the demo, but we can say that we try to follow as much as possible the sample applications, Spring applications made by JHipster with the Quarkus pros and with also the Quarkus approach. So the idea is to find the good balance between doing something that is Quarkus related, not necessarily Spring and Spring Boot related, but at the meantime to be something like quite close to what JHipster do actually on the main generator.
Yes, totally. So yes, basically people are using developers are used to JHipster, and JHipster is a well-known framework. So if we can try at least to give them kind of pattern on how to build an application and some references, they are able to move from Spring to Quarkus or whatever, and try to ease some comparison or migration also. So yes, keeping track of what JHipster is doing and try to stay aligned where it's possible. It's a huge focus on this blueprint, yes.
So this means casual JHipster user or JHipster experts should not be too afraid to move to the traditional Spring Boot backend to the new Quarkus one, to this new Quarkus one. So let's maybe move to the major features, and we can get a look of what exactly we have in this V1. So maybe we can start to say that we are now synchronized with the last Quarkus version that's have been released. I think it was last week. It was on
last Wednesday. Yes.
Yes. So we are very up to date. Of course. And maybe we can just enumerate what we have here. So we can only generate monolith for the moment.
But this is an opinionated choice. In JHipster, we are able to generate microservices applications, but we made that also in a period where basically infrastructure platforms were not as evolved as they are today. So if so there is also a discussion with JHipster, but if we add in 2021 to develop the JHipster Spring microservice stack, I'm not 100% sure we do it again this way. And I think, or at least this is my version, I tend to delegate to the infrastructure layer, either Kubernetes or cloud provider or whatever, all the aspects that were developed previously by the Netflix stack, for instance, or Spring OSS.
Yeah, so just to give some details about that, maybe people don't know that, but in JHipster, when you choose microservice as a application type, basically it will add all the dependencies and the configuration you need to run with the Netflix OSS software, different solutions. And if you generate an application with, for example, here the Quarkus Blueprint engine, just so it will be basically a monolith, but you can choose to not generate a front end, so to select no when we ask you which front end framework you want. You can select to have no client, so it means nothing, and it will just basically a backend that you can probably deploy into your cloud environment and run it as a microservice. Okay, so maybe we can move to, do you want to comment every point and then we can just doing like that? So
maybe just we can say regarding authentication that we are compliant with Okta, which is one of the JHipster sponsors. So it was quite good to work on it. Caching, you can discuss about caching. You did it.
Yes, I work a lot on the caching part. So we are using the Quarkus Cache for local caching. So for caching, this is an implementation on is a Quarkus implementation of what a cache should be, and just like we have something with the Spring Cache in Spring backend Spring Boot application. And but for the moment, we only Quarkus Cache only rely on caffeine, so we don't have any solutions, especially with distributed cache or client server cache. So we also added the Redis client cache, and we automatically generate a client for you and the configuration with it. And also we have implemented the cache for the user, so the basic cache that we have in the in JHipster application is the one from the user. So we have cache invalidation, cache when you want to add something in the cache or something like that, update an element in the cache too. So you can see exactly how the cache works by checking the user cache. And then we have the second level cache with Hibernate. So this is, for example, the caching is really interesting to study, because we can see that in such application like we have on Spring Boot, it's not quite easy, especially when you are using JHipster. It's quite easy to manage with cache, because there is some there is a lot of different layers that allow you to add or manage your cache easily. And when you move to a new framework such as Quarkus, you can see that this is not easy as we can see, as we can think, and this needs a lot of work. So it's I think this is exactly what we can expect from the JHipster blueprint, and to help people to have an entire stack well configured and with good options, and made by people that spend time to do it. And this is a really good thing. So we now have a local cache solution, and we have a client service solution, and also the Hibernate one. So I don't know if we will do more on this, but I'm pretty sure that these solutions are quite good right now. So I'm very proud of this.
Yep.
So just because Fred say hi to the chat. So hi, Fred, welcome. Happy to see you again. Fred is a core team member in JHipster. And the next step will be the admin pages. So we spend a lot of time, we made a lot of things on these admin pages. So maybe you want to introduce that. I put some Spring Actuator because maybe people already know what Spring Actuator is. But
I propose we have a couple of questions later.
Yes,
I think admin pages are a good discussion and a good concern regarding how you move from Spring to Quarkus and what could be the role of an application generator. I think we can discuss that the next slide. Just to finish on this slide. So just like JHipster is focusing a lot on code quality and try to provide the best experience possible, the blueprint is not just about generating code and hoping it will work. We are generating also tests. So we don't have a formal code coverage because we are struggling to compute it. But I think for the sample app, we are generating close to 80 or the 100 tests for the application. So yes, it's more than just code generation for backend developers. It's truly a good starting point to start your own application.
Yes, the experience with the blueprint should be the same, or I mean, not only just create a new application from scratch. It also supposed to help you to create your own application and to have it with high quality level. So we can move to. We have some quick question that I want to answer you, and especially on feedback, because, for example, what is the feature you are the most proud of? You did on this blueprint?
For me, the feature or part of the feature, it's all about the entity generation. So with JHipster, we are able to generate the core application, and afterward, we are able to generate entities in your application and adding some fields, some relationships, generating the data access, the REST representation, and so on and so on. And by making the entity generation work, it was truly for me the point where I say, okay, we are doing actually a true JHipster generator. It's not just a prototype or some
just bootstrapping
static generator. It was truly something that could bring value for people in companies. And on this particular entity generation, for me, the key point is, so maybe we'll go through later, but when you generate an entity, you can choose your data access pattern, and it could be active record or repository. And the active record pattern is the one recommended by Quarkus. And that was, for me, the very first feature where I was introducing the idioms of Quarkus inside the generator. So it was not just a copy of a Spring backend, it was truly the instantiation of a Quarkus generator for JHipster. So for me, the active record and the experience about the active record proposed and recommended by Quarkus was for me the best feature. Is for me the best feature.
And I'm sure this, and especially for me, this feature sounds quite strange when you start to work with. But at the end, I think it was very interesting to have this one. It make the development smoother. So I don't know how to say in English exactly, but the dev experience with that is really cool. And for the same reason, or I mean, for the same in the same idea. So, what is the feature you had the most difficulties to face off?
I would mention two features. I don't know if it's features, but the first one was testing, and so we were discussing about generating tests. The philosophy or yes, the mindset about testing in Spring and other frameworks actually, and especially with Quarkus, are totally different. So Spring is relying massively on integration tests, and we have plenty of mockup layers and utils to ease the test experience. We are basically able to emulate the full application. With Quarkus, because of the thing that Quarkus is more young than Spring. First off, then since Quarkus is trying to as I say, reboot the Java ecosystem, so try to propose different stuff. Implementing tests just as I knew them with Spring was quite difficult. So I have to rethink the test strategy, and this is something that we still have to work on. But for me, it was quite challenging to not be able in the first place to reproduce exactly the same test, because it was for me the safety net, yes, to propose new features and be sure that I was compliant with the overall JHipster contract. So this is the first one. The second one is, and it's more a general thought, is basically when Quarkus and Spring are not agree on a particular aspect. So we are discussing that before the admin pages. So Spring is providing an actuator. Quarkus does not have actuator, actually. For me, it's a very difficult position because we have to make a choice between, should I implement the same exact contract in Quarkus that Spring is providing and propose the same experience, or should I delete or remove or forget some parts to make it more Quarkus idiomatic. And this is some interesting discussion. So we for the V1 we are generating admin pages. Quarkus just launched the dev console with basically most of the items built in. So you can edit configuration, you can see some loggers, you can see some stuff. And at some point we will have to make the choice between providing a JHipster Spring experience with other technologies, or try to take advantage of what a technology like Quarkus or other propose, even if it means not mapping one for one the contract of JHipster. So we saw that with the admin pages. We have also this element with other components. So for me, it's the most difficult part.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And yes, find the balance between what should be more related to JHipster and what should be more related to Quarkus. It's quite hard to find and to have. And this mean and this make us to have a lot of discussion, a lot of questions for sure. But this is also the really interesting part, because it forces us to have this discussion and to sometimes make some decision, and maybe to avoid also to do the same errors that we can probably done on JHipster. And maybe we can move to the 2021 plan.
You don't want to ask the last question?
Oh yes, I forgot. My bad. Yeah, especially because it's related to the 2021 for sure. Yes. What is the feature you really want what is the feature you really want in the future? It's not really easy to say in English when you are French, because it sounds very it's so very close.
You go first. What's the feature you are willing to implement?
So,
Anthony, for you, I'm just asking the question for you.
Oh,
just
oh yes. But you know, I know you know that I work hard on the NoSQL option, and especially with MongoDB. And firstly, the idea was to integrate that in the V1, but because of a bug of Quarkus with MongoDB, we are not able to integrate it into the V1. Because yeah, so now it's nearly fixed, because it works with Maven, but it seems that there is also a problem with Gradle applications. And because we are managing both Maven and Gradle, we need to be sure that this option will work with in any case. And for me, it makes sense to have this kind of solution, especially in NoSQL, because if we want to move to reactive application, even if I know that it seems that no Hibernate can handle that, but well, we need to test and to have more time to be sure about that. But I'm pretty sure that it makes sense for application that will be deployed into cloud environments, and everything that we say before, that we can not only rely on SQL databases, but also on NoSQL databases, and to also have this versatility that we can find in JHipster. It's really important, and to try to answer to the most case that we can for our users.
Yes. And for me, basically, so you mentioned reactive. For me, reactive and reactive programming is a key feature for 2021 offshore. So this is the first one, and so the second one is try to improve the native experience with the Quarkus Blueprint. So we are doing a best effort approach on native. So we try at least that globally it works when you run an application, but I want to push it a step further by generating some native tests or try to improve the experience when you are building native. So yes, reactive and native will be for 2021.
And Joe tells us that the feature you look forward to adding is serverless options and the integration with rules engine with Cogito.
Yes.
So
Cogito is just amazing. It's a rule engine that will help people to implement some complex algorithms easily. So yes.
So this means we can easily move to the 2021 plan right now. And yes, there is something that we want to we have in mind, but also everything is not decide for the whole year and can change, and especially if there is some people want to push new things and want to contribute to the blueprint. So the main things will be the first thing will be to move to the JHipster 7. As you know, the main JHipster will be released with a new version. So for the moment, we are still in beta with the 7 version, but I'm pretty sure that the final version will be released soon. I mean, maybe I don't have an precise ID, but I'm pretty sure that it will be a great big subject even because new major version mean breaking changes. So we need to be compliant with this new version. Of course, add the new SQL option with MongoDB, and I put support microservices, even if there is the case for the moment, but I want to have just the option that we just like we have in JHipster, and make it easier for people to generate microservices with Quarkus. And just like we say, reactive programming, native testing, and also growing the community. And I think maybe it's the most important part, because we need people to contribute. We need to have some proposal. We are open for proposals, and we are always looking for new contributors. And this is maybe the most important point, because without feedback, without new suggestion, we have a new PR, the project can go ahead. And for sure, the most important part it will be to now we have the V1 solid version, first final version, we can say. We can easily attend to have more people, and to have more contributors in the community. What do you think about that?
I'm thinking that community is very important, and with community, size doesn't matter basically. So you can you can contribute in many ways. It can be by creating an issue and reporting a bug or a limitation, proposing some ideas. Also, give us feedback on what you like, what you don't like, and what makes you more efficient in your day-to-day work. It could be obviously providing some code. It could be providing some tests to try to improve the overall quality. It can be also by either making documentation. So we just started the documentation. It's quite restricted for now, but if you have tested the generator and you can help us on improving the documentation to ease the discovery of the blueprint by other people, it's a huge help for us. By making noise also about the project, it could be a blog post, it could be a video, it could be whatsoever, what you want, but yes, just don't be afraid to help and try to provide what you've got. We will be very happy to see new people joining us and try to make this project and live. And yes, feel free to contact us or ask questions or whatever.
I have nothing to add. You say everything I think that we should heard. This is really important to have some feedbacks and to have your opinion and your idea on what we've done. So feel free to contact us, and especially you can find more information, just like you say, on the Quarkus official documentation, even if this documentation is quite new, so we need to improve it a bit and work on it and still work on it, but there is something that you can start with. You can maybe be sure to follow the current channel on Twitch, because sometimes, not every week, but sometimes I stream on different Quarkus Blueprint Quarkus subjects and contributions. So it's a good way to go in it and to learn a bit, and maybe to share your idea with me and with the chat, with the community. And also, I would say to be sure to follow both JHipster and Quarkus Twitter account to get some information and new things on that. So
just a point regarding learning, because it's funny. Often, and I was also a beginner regarding open source and contribution, but often when you are using a project, you see some patterns or you see some choices, and you don't know, or this choice doesn't make sense for any reason. And don't be afraid to just ask, why did you do this stuff like this way? And just by asking us, it will force us also to rethink, to make it simpler or explain. And it's always some learning for you and for us to have questions and try to debate about the thing we have made.
Yes, and for the same reason, maybe sometimes I know, because this is something that I used to think, is because these people did that, this means is the best way to do it, and maybe they're really sure. But sometimes we are just trying to do something, and if you think that is not maybe the best way to maybe writing tests, to manage caching solution, or anything that we can find in the blueprint and in the generated code, feel free to tell us, because this is the if JHipster is really strong right now, I'm pretty sure is because a lot of people contribute to it and change things that should not be done like this or like that. And this is a really good point. I don't think that one or two people on their own side can create something that be so powerful just because they have these things in mind. So I mean, community and teamwork is probably the best thing we can do to improve this work and this blueprint. So maybe we can move to the demo, because I think we don't have a lot of time. So we need to quit us soon, I think, Daniel. So maybe we need to do the demo. So you did the release just during the stream, isn't it? So just before the stream.
if you go to npm,
So we can go to npm. Okay.
you'll see the V1 released 1 hour ago.
npm and is JHipster.
Generator JHipster Quarkus. Second item.
The second one. Oh, it's cool.
V1.
Yeah, so we are now published 1 hour ago, and we are on the Win 100. So maybe we can just try to install it and generate a new application with it. So I will launch a new console here. Maybe go to the TMP folder and create something like demo Quarkus. So I will install. I think I have never installed it before. So we are mostly dealing with npm link and something like that with when we are in dev mode. So this is probably the first time I install it directly from the npm repository. But if you want to test and use the generator JHipster Quarkus, you should install directly the generator JHipster Quarkus.
Maybe we can increase a little bit the font just to.
Yes, maybe we can. Oh, so I can zoom a bit and then. Directly like that. Maybe I can zoom once again. Is it enough?
Perfect.
Let me. Okay, to be sure we can see everything here. And you don't need to directly install JHipster because the blueprint already includes JHipster. And so if you are running with a specific JHipster version, you can use JHipster blueprint Quarkus command as you used to use. But if you want to use directly, you can JHipster Quarkus just like that, and it will automatically launch the blueprint with JHipster, with the right version of JHipster included in the blueprint. So just run JHipster-Quarkus, and then we can start by generating a new application. So let's say, okay, this is the name of my application and the default Java package. Oh, this is something that we are you already saw in JHipster. We can choose between GWT and author. So let's say maybe GWT. We can only choose on SQL solutions for the moment. So for example, let's say MySQL, H2 or in memory. This is something that we used to have in JHipster too. And we have these two cache implementation as we talked about before. So caffeine and Redis implementation. And we can use the second level Arbanet cache, Maven, and Angular React and no client. So this is what I was talking about before. If you want to generate some microservice application that's not related to directly to a front end, you should here select no client. Then Angular, and I want to default. Yes, you can see that there is no Vue.js option available for the moment because Vue.js is only available for the V7. So it will be available with the blueprint when we will do the move to the JHipster 7. And so when the JHipster 7 will be, when final version will be available for sure. Yes.
One trick also regarding Vue.js is Vue.js was the blueprint also before being merged into the main, and you can combine blueprints. So I used to run JHipster -- blueprint Quarkus, Vue.js, and you were able to generate both technologies.
Yes, it's true. We can do it like that. It's true. So now we have the application generated. So we can. I will open it with IntelliJ, and just to show you a bit what it looks like. Okay. Okay, so I want to open a new one. MP, and the name was Quarkus.
It's always funny to see that in a JHipster project, what makes takes the longer time is always npm and front-end packaging, and never the backend parts.
Yes, incredible. So it is still installed. Yeah, I don't understand exactly what happened. Is there is too much things here. And okay, so yeah, I need to size a bit that. Okay, that's good.
So normally, if you go through the README, everything has been contextualized for Quarkus. So when we said, okay, we are generating an application and it's more than just moving the code from Spring to Quarkus, we also, here, if, for instance, you see that building the production package, we add
Yes,
the Quarkus profiles. We have a section regarding the native executable. So yes, it's more than just generating source code.
I don't think we will have enough time to packaging this as a native executable. Just for information, I did it in the previous stream session, and it took I think something like 8 minutes. I don't remember exactly. Yes, it's something like 8 minutes, and you need to have GraalVM installed and configured. It's not too hard to do. Quite simple. But just we need to get in mind that it takes time. So when I'm opening the application, I can see the only just because IntelliJ is downloading and preparing the environment, so it can take time and be a bit well to not be very smooth. But anyway, just so if you just open the application, you can see that the application is quite the same that we have in the main JHipster generator, and we still have everything under the Java application. And then we can find everything under config, for example, domain security service or web. We don't have any repository folder package because of the active record pattern. So maybe we can just take a look of what it looks like for the user, what it means.
Normally with Quarkus, so when I say Quarkus is trying to reboot the Java ecosystem, we are used with Java to have private fields and accessors to make these fields public. And this is inherited from the time where Java applications were hosted on application servers and was sharing basically some resourcing, and you needed to isolate your class. But with containers, serverless, cloud, and so on, basically the unit of deployment is your application. You are not sharing anymore a JVM with other applications. So basically, we don't need anymore this kind of restriction. I guess.
I just don't. So it seems that I have a bug because when I'm opening a file, I can see the file content. So there's just something like there is something. This is the first time I can see it. What happened if? Oh no, well, maybe I need to close and reopen the. Why?
So normally, if we open the user file, you should see public fields, because we don't need any more private and getters to get access to classes package within a container. Yes, this is a pure Quarkus idiom, for instance, making public fields.
Yeah, so we have public fields here, and we don't have any getter and setter here. And
in the active record pattern at the end.
And we have, for example, all these methods are quite the same that we have in Spring, but in the repository. I mean, for the user here. So, for example, if you want to find one user by email, for example, when you do the login, the log action, this is the kind of method that are used. Okay, so no, I think it should be okay. So yes, we know of the completion and everything, so it's better to look right like that. So we have something here that is very different, and maybe we we can just, I will try to just launch the application, yes, just like that, while we are watching the code. So yes, just like we have in JHipster, you can run that. You can directly run Gradle or Maven wrapper with the default profile to run the application out of the box. And because I'm running with an H2 database, I don't need to run Docker image. But if you take a look of the Docker folder, we inherit from all the Docker compose file from JHipster. So for the same reason that you have everything for starting with Docker with JHipster, you can start with Docker with JHipster Quarkus with the same experience. And yeah, so we have the config here. Nothing really relevant, I think. For sure the security, and then the service and web layer that are quite the same that we have on JHipster. So there is something that we need to focus on, I think. You think, Daniel, maybe like on this, or
we can still open a resource, REST resource, because the main point is with Quarkus. So Quarkus is relying on the standard or the microprofile spec, which is basically the legacy of Java Enterprise. And so you are using pure standard annotations, I would say, compared to the Spring ones. So the implementation is for the REST layer is REST easy, and this is why the annotation are not exactly the same with Spring, but here you are implementing a JAX RS spec, where Spring is implementing its own spec. So this is the main point, I would say, but otherwise, for that part, it's quite similar. So you found the classic code. You return a response. Some headers to do the pagination sometimes, some utils. No, I guess it's very, except if you want to go deep in details, but it's very similar to what Spring is providing. Regarding the resources, it's a good point. You are going there, where Spring is providing per environment configuration file, so application.yaml, application.-prod.yaml, and so on. Quarkus tried to propose the one unique file paradigm. So basically, you are implementing everything in one file and you are prefixing your environment. So there are pros, there are cons. It's a matter of taste. So it's up to the developer to appreciate it or not. But we also try to provide a curated list of properties and overriding, just as JHipster does with Spring. We try to focus on the item that for us makes sense. So this is a proposal, and your application started.
Yes, this is why I was looking at that. Just maybe we should move directly into the application and use the default pour. And this is basically the same application that we have JHipster. The main reason is the front end is the same, so you should not see many differences. Maybe you can have some different experiences with how we implement some pages, especially. So, for example, we can access directly to the users, and we can do exactly the same that we have on JHipster. We can access to the metrics. So we did that. So for example, this is the point that we talked about just before. So for example, here we needed to recreate a kind of actuator for that we have in Spring, and we use on JHipster that to have something that's close with Quarkus. So you can access to many metrics, JHipster metrics you have here, and what we have. So health. So this is the default small array. Oh, I don't know what to say in English. Small
I don't
array.
know. Small Y, I guess.
Small array. Health at checkpoint. Health point. Yes, and we have a lot of things. So configurations too. So we have configurations. So you can you can read all the configurations that have been loaded in your applications. You can access to the log. Oh yeah, you can access to the log level and generate and change the log level from just by clicking in your application, just like we have in the good old JHipster application. And we still have the H2 database, and so you can access directly to your H2 database, of course, and you can access to the API.
I'm not
Swagger.
remember if it works. Does the API work?
I think so, but
Yeah.
yes, it works.
So actually, I made the Swagger extension for Quarkus in 2019. So it's funny
it still works. It still works.
It still works.
Yes.
That's a miracle, but it still works.
Maybe we can just try to generate a new entities and finish the demo with that to get a look of what the entities could be looks like. So I will probably close the application, or just I will try to. I'm not sure that if I generate a new one directly here, it will work. But let's say.
I would say the backend will work because Quarkus is providing a hot reload, but I'm not sure that it will recompile the front part.
Yes, I will need to do the npm start. So to start the front end server. So anyway, so if we just use the JHipster entity just like we used to. So for example, with foo. So just
JHipster Quarkus or JHipster - Blueprint.
I think for me it's the same because it will use automatically the JHipster Quarkus. I think so. Yes, using the blueprint, so you don't need to specify anything about Quarkus.
Okay.
It will automatically generate if it works, because I don't know why. Oh yes, so maybe it was bug from my. So you can also use it just like that. I don't know why it's quite slow. Okay, so do you want to add? Yes, I want to add a new field, of course. What is the name of my field? It's bar string. Do you want to add some validation rules? I can, but it's the same that we have on JHipster. And do you want to add a field to your entity? So no, I don't want to add relationships. And here, this is something that's very specific to Quarkus. So you can decide to use the active record pattern. So this is the one we saw in the user domain, Java class. And you can generate a repository class. So something more close that we can see we can have on the JHipster Spring Boot application. So we should use active record to keep the same logic, and then you can you have access to the same option. So we can directly use active record here, or use service classes, DTO, pagination, etc. And then yes.
So we add a config because we are generating also the liquid-based migration scripts, and JHipster is taking care of injecting the liquid-based snippet into the master.xml. So that was the question asked. And if we go to the liquid-based files, we'll see that we should have migration script for foo table with a bar colon, string with a string, and so on and so on.
Yes, and I can say that on the next JHipster version, we will be able to have the well, to update directly the Liquibase config instead of just rewrite it from start from the beginning. So I just need to do npm start right now because to update my front end, but we can directly move to the backend and we can see that. So we have a new, for example, here we have new things on the configuration because we add a new entity here that need to be configured with the cache. And we can see that on the domain, we have the new entity, the new created entity named foo, and with my bar field, and it used the same active record pattern. So we have the persist or update, for example, and everything here. We have the foo service that is available here, and we also have the related resources. Oh, my application just started through the npm start, so I can log into, and I should be able. Oh, maybe it's not the right password.
Just have a look to the Quarkus log, just to be sure.
Yes, let's get a look at that. Ooh. Oh, this
maybe it doesn't handle.
Yes, maybe we need to restart the application again in this case.
Just for H2.
Yes, probably because of the Liquibase configuration.
Yeah,
I think so. Yes.
Feel free to open an issue.
Yes. But I'm not sure that we can do something different here. And oh yes, I'm pretty sure that we will have some trouble. Oh, let me just no, stop again, because we will have some problem with the we changed the Liquibase file, so we will have some problem on the startup. So we need to clean the Liquibase file, or I mean clean maybe I mean clean the database here and to start the application again. This is why this is also why JHipster 7 introduced this new way of working with Liquibase, and to have the step-by-step implementation. So every time you will create a new entity, you will be able to update the Liquibase file instead of rewrite it, and to avoid to have some problems here. So we need to wait a bit, even if I think the application, this should be quite quickly done because we already have the application running it. I'm not sure. So we need to wait a bit before the application is available, and just to take a look of the entities. So if you have question in the chat, be sure to ask it right now, and we can answer them, and then we will finish. Oh, here we go.
I think we're almost there.
So it should be okay. Sign in. No.
Go again to.
No, I'm not sure the application already starts. Oh no, it's not really starts. I don't know why my my brother changed the automatically change. Oh, we're quite close. I know when I can see it here we're quite close. Yes, exactly. So the change log have been applied. I want to open it. So now it should be okay.
Try to refresh the page, maybe.
Well, maybe. No, it's okay.
It's okay.
But sometimes it takes just a little bit of time. And we have the foo entities here, and we have the default value with the faker JS in dev mode, and we can view and access to it and create a new one, for example. And I have my new one here, and I can see it, of course.
worth to say also that it works with the GDL, with the JHipster domain language. So
yes.
you can basically define a full model with the GDL syntax and import it into the application, and it will generate the full Quarkus application also.
Yes. Oh no, I don't have access to it here, but this is exactly what we do for testing our application in the GitHub action pipelines. We define some GDL, full application GDL with the options we want, and then we generate them under a pipeline and launch test and launch everything that we need to be sure that the application still works.
Maybe you can just share the test, the generated test for the full entity, also, just to prove that we are not telling lies.
Yes, of course. So we have we added some tests here to, for example,
Test
if
the entity.
test the entity, and I think we have some. Oh no, we don't have.
The REST layer. No, we didn't. We don't test the service. We tested through.
Oh yes, this is more
yes,
it's more integration test through the REST layer here and directly test. So we have the liquid-based phases here, and then we directly create entities. For example, we create. So we have a lot of just to show you exactly.
We have close to a dozen, I would say a dozen tests per entity. And depending on the complexity of the entity, on the business rules you add, if it's unique, required, and so on, we generate more or less tests.
Yes, and we don't have any relationships in this case. So this is the more simple case that we can generate. So just an entity with one field. And maybe it can be more important if you add some validation rules or relationships, etc. So there is something that you want to add, Daniel, before we are closing the stream. So I don't know.
Except that I'm really happy to work with you on this project. No?
Yes. Well, I'm thinking the same. So it's a real pleasure, and I'm really happy. And I want to thank you to be here today and to spend time to do this stream, because I think it's important for the community to understand exactly what we are doing. And this is not only something that where we are on our side and doing just something between you and me. And we want to involve more people and to be sure that both the JHipster and Quarkus community can find something interesting for them in this work and can be involved in it too. So I know you are working. You have also some work on your side, and to be here means that you spend time with us. So it's really, especially at this schedule, because we are in the afternoon in France and people used to work, so not to stream at this time. But yes, it can be good things for the project to be here, and I'm really happy to have you on my channel.
Thank you for inviting me.
So I see that we don't have any questions. So it seems that everybody had understood the what we've done and the application. So just maybe the next step would be to test the application, install and test the generation part. And you can access also, yes, to the repository and GitHub. So everything is here. So you can access directly to generator JHipster Quarkus. Feel free to create issues here if you want. If you want to see new things happen, if you want to contribute it, and open pull request also. You can also grab the generator sample app if you want to have a look. So I think maybe with JHipster, this is the JHipster sample app. Maybe I can just try to get. Yes, you can access to JHipster sample apps, sample app Quarkus app here, and you can see that this has been automatically generated by the V1 version. So this application is up to date, and you can just clone it and run it and take a look of what it looks like. and we are waiting for you. So if you still have question after that, or maybe I think the replay will be available on YouTube, so we will be sure that this video will be available for replays, reviews. If you have some question, feel free to ask us on Twitter at Daniel Petisme or AVDay4G for me, and otherwise to go in another stream session and to ask question. We are here, so don't be afraid to ask question and to reach us out on social medias. I think it's time to say goodbye, even if I'm yes, and to go to work.
Go to work now.
To go to drink a coffee. So it's coffee time. So for me. So thank you everybody to be here in this afternoon. Thank you, Daniel, and wish you all a good day. And see you soon on Twitter and on JHipster. Bye-bye.
Bye.